Good morning, my dear friends. My name is Sarita. Welcome or welcome back. I am not feeling well, but actually I'm at the point where it sounds much worse than it actually is. At this point, all of the stuff is coming out. But yeah, it's been a friends and family treasure of children's blowy noses and whatnot. Oh my God. Also, I watch all the YouTube, all the YouTube channels and the candle people, and like everybody's sick. You're probably sick. Let's all be sick together. It's not a big deal. Today, I've got some coffee here with me, right here. I'm going to try to wake up a little bit. Also, I have my favorite, because why not? I mean, if this doesn't make you feel better, I don't know what does. I am a huge cream liqueur kind of person. Obviously, Bailey's, everything. This is one that I just recently discovered because there's a liquor store close to my house. I don't have a problem, but I do like to walk through the aisles sometimes and just discover unusual things. So I put this in my coffee quite a bit. This is Amarula, and it's a cream spirit with marula. Do you see those little fruits there? Yeah. Those are fruits. They're called marula fruits. And it says the spirit of Africa. They're like an African fruit. Yeah? And they're in these trees, these marula like fruits. And it has an elephant on it because all the elephants come from near and far, and they love these marula fruits, and they just gorge themselves on them, and then they get kind of like drunk a little bit, and then they like lay around. Actually, this might be, do you know the skincare line Drunk Elephant? I'm pretty sure this is the same phenomenon, but I could be wrong because I read the story about it at some point. Anyway, so yummy. It's a little bit, once a year, the marula trees bear fruit. The exotic scent draws elephants from miles around to come and get a taste. That's when we know it's time to hand harvest the ripe yellow fruit. The marula fruit is then distilled and matured in aged French oak for 2 years before blended with fresh cream. Man, this is good. The Amarula Trust aims to safeguard the African elephants so that we can keep meeting them under the marula trees year after year. Yeah, they've got like an elephant. Anyway, it's a little bit less bitey than like Bailey's, for instance, but it's real similar, and it has more like caramel overtones, but also like a fruitiness to it. It's so fantastic. I can't even. So there you go. Here's my shameless plug for liqueur in the coffee. I'm not happy today because, I was promised heavy snow this morning, and instead it is heavy freezing rain. And I'm just not happy about it. I'm not here for it. Just not. I need some snow. We haven't had snow all year, and I feel like we're due some snow. I want the snow. I want the snow. I don't want the gloomy and the rain and the freezing and the wet, but not the snow. Okay, so that out of the way as well. This video is about a lot of things that I bought over the kind of holiday period. So I've been in Columbus, Ohio for the past, week and a half, 2 weeks or so, which is where my family lives. It's where I was born and raised. And in my travels, in my car, I stop in various places too, and I range. So I was really hoping in Columbus to see test candles, but unfortunately the test candles are not up until later this month after the semi-annual sale. At least that's what I was told by an employee. So there was none of that. And the Bath & Body Works scene is pretty disappointing. So I'm not the first one to say this. A lot of people have been like, what is up with semi-annual sale? It is so bad. And it is. I mean, it's just terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. And I stopped at so many Bath & Body Workses on the way from Columbus to Charlottesville, Virginia. And one of them was actually really, really big, and they had a lot of things. But even that store did not have very much to speak of in terms of the semi-annual stuff. And right now, everything is just 50% off. I mean, there's very little that's 75, especially like candle wise. But even if it was 75, there's like hardly any candles of interest. Most of them are just like candles that have come out intentionally for either this or for post candle day or who knows what else. And the really good ones are not the ones that are included in the semi-annual. Kent said, and I do think it bears mentioning, that this is actually really good for the company. And it indicates that like they actually sold, they planned well, and they sold through candles in an appropriate way throughout the year or throughout the half year, such that now that we're in semi-annual, they actually have far less to clearance off, and that's actually really good. So while it's not great for us because we want like juicy candles, see, I use that juicy word, they can't always use this. We want the juicy candles that we remember that we liked from the last half year, and we want them like 75% off. We are just not seeing that this year. And I do think, given how slim the contributions are for semi-annual across the board, candles included, if they discounted everything off at 75, like from the top, there would literally be nothing left right now. Literally nothing. So I think that the reason that they're also keeping it at 50% for longer than we would love to see is because, frankly, they're just trying to extend the semi-annual into the area that it usually runs from, like, you know, the end of Christmas to basically mid-January. And there's no way that it would have made it even close to mid-January if they had more heavily discounted even the products that they have. That's my apology in both senses for Bath and Body Works and the semi-annual sale in the way that it is this year. I don't love it, but I can kind of understand it. I don't think that it would really be like the end of the world if the semi-annual sale wrapped up earlier than it usually would. Clear it all out, get new stuff out, let's just call it a day. This was obviously not something that anyone's very excited about. And I get it, you have very little product. God bless, we like love that for you, but just get it off the floor. We're so tired of seeing all this stuff that we're really not interested in, and we definitely don't want to have another week and a half of it just sitting there at 50% off. It's just my 2 cents. Let's move on, let's move forward. I do think, I mean, Bath and Body Works probably has a balancing act where like they want an exciting semi-annual sale, because they want the buzz and they want people coming into the stores, etc. But at the same time, they don't love to have all of that surplus that they then have to discount off at 75. So it's a delicate balancing act, and definitely this year they erred on the side of having very little product. I suspect that they will probably course correct, and the next semi-annual will be a little bit more generous, and they'll allow it to be that way. Bath & Body Works is really good at that. At like, there are seasons and there are waves, and they tend to kind of. I've had some people who swear up and down, frankly, that even their candles are in a like every other year cycle, which is to say that one year they're like shitty and bad strength and throw, and then the next year they're like really great. I don't know if that's an intentional cycle for them, but they are very savvy about essentially not allowing a year or an experience to happen twice in a row of like a bad strength and throw or a bad sale or a bad this or a bad that. It's just, they're really good at not having that happen. Whether or not they intentionally plan to have a bad strength and throw or to have a bad sale or whatever, I can't speak to that. But they are good at like making sure that it doesn't happen right after another event. And I apologize, my words are just not very coherent today and not very articulate. Partly that's because my mind is in a fog. And hopefully the liqueur will help. Okay, preamble over. Let's talk about some of the things that I bought. I did buy some things in semi-annual. I've got these sitting here, actually. Look what I found. Ha 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 ha. Cocoa Paradise Moisturizing Body Wash. This was really hard to find, and I found 2 of them. And I am interested in what the Tahitian, like, coconut, going to the tropics, like, offerings are going to be this year. But they do have that new vanilla coconut, whatever it is, that Ken has been raving about. And every time, and they've got it in the candle form out on the floor. It's in that Palo Santo kind of grouping. I really like the packaging. I think it's cute. I don't know that I love that candle. He loves it, and I think it performs really well. So once it does go on sale, I would certainly probably try it out. For me, it's a little bit too gourmand, and he mentioned that he would love the way that it was like at least half vanilla caramel, like it was a gourmand kind of coconut. So I think I probably will like it less than Kent for that reason. And I'm hoping that we see other like coconut and tropic candles and maybe like another new one that might be good. Cocoa Paradise was a new one for last year. It was ho-hum, but it wasn't bad. Ooh, and I really like it for body care. So I was really happy to find Cocoa Paradise. And I also bought this weird thing here, Sapphire Moon, because I really liked, I mean, they've got these like new like body care, and they've got the ballerina ones, and they just put them out. I don't think they're doing particularly well, and I don't think anybody really likes them because they're so generic and so boring, all of them. So they've got like stars, and then they've got the ballerinas, and that's like accounting for about 50 to 75% of what's on the floor in terms of semi-annual at this point. Nobody wants it. But I did kind of like this. Now that I'm smelling it here at home, it's pretty generic and it's pretty body care-ish. But when I was smelling the lotion in the store, I thought this one was good. The notes on this one were pear, freesia, and moonlit musk. I thought this was a little reminiscent of Moonlit Path, which is, of course, like a very long-standing cult favorite for Bath & Body Works, and one that I actually quite like. Moonlit Path has been my favorite ever since I was, like, a teenager in the 90s. So this actually is very similar to it. It has that, like, musky, like, freesia, deep amber musk, like white musk kind of thing that like Moonlit Path is great at. And I think they went with it. I mean, it says straight up Moonlit Musk. And because of like the stars and the moon like thing or whatever, I think that they were self-consciously like creating kind of a cousin scent to Moonlit Path. Yeah. And it smells that way. It's a bit more fruity than Moonlit Path and a little bit brighter. And so for that reason, I like Moonlit Path better. But I liked it, so I picked it up. So that's that. Okay, let's talk about candles. So I was really happy because I did find my favorite candles of the year. So all I had was pink lavender and espresso when I did Bath & Body Works year in review with all of the candles that I nominated for Best New Candle 2023. And I said, man, I wish I had them as backups, but the rest of the ones, so I nominated 4. One of them was pink lavender and espresso, and I do have backups of that, and I do think that one is coming back. And it's already on the floor in the single wick variety, and I'm sure they will probably be bringing it out in the multiple wick soon. But the other 3 candles, I did not buy backups of, and I thought that they would be around, and we would definitely see them at semi-annual, if nothing else. But I thought they would be, frankly, in the stores longer than they were, and none of them were. So I was very, very lucky to have found them in semi-annual. So at various different, especially at like outlet Bath & Body Works's, I did find several of the Salted Amber and Vetiver, and here's that one. Oh, so nice. Initially, when I smelled this in the store, I was like, ew, why did I like this? Because with all the different smells in the store, all I was picking up on was this like heavy perfume quality. And I'm like, I don't remember it being so heavy perfumey. Why did I say this was a new candle? But once I get it home and I'm not bombarded by all the other things, it is perfumey, but it's more than perfumey. And it's got that amazing, like creamy amber, but also fruity dimension underneath, which is just stunning. And if I recall correctly, upon it being burned, that aspect comes out even more. So for sure, I reiterate and reconfirm that this is a best new candle. I just love it, and I really hope it comes around this year again, especially in the spring and in the summer, which is where I think it needs to be marketed, rather than like early fall, which is where it came out and just kind of fell through the cracks. But for those who bought it, really liked it, man, there's a good reason for that. Salted amber, fresh orange flower, and rich vetiver. And as I said in my review of this candle and also in the best new candle video, this one is primarily like a beautiful, creamy, fruity floral, like a white floral, but has perfumey like overtones. And partly that's because of the orange or bergamot that is, I think, in it. It has just enough austerity and just enough floral for it to sit super nicely in that like unisexual kind of space. And it's something that I think both men and women, or those who have leanings feminine or masculine in terms of your scent preferences, could really like this one. But if you don't love perfumey candles, it may not be for you, and in that sense perhaps a little bit niche. Here's a candle that is not niche at all, and I was stunned that I finally came across one. Oh my gosh, look what I found! Folks, there it is in all its grandeur and glory, Cozy Sunday Night. This is the only one, and it was a one candle buried back in, I can't remember where it was. Maybe it was at an outlet mall. It was like buried behind all of the other candles. They thought I was a crazy lady. I would sit there and just like disassemble all of their piles because they had so many variety of candles at the outlet malls, you know? At the outlet ones, you could see some candles that like were very unexpected and whatever else. The usual stores, there was not a whole lot of variety, but at the outlet malls, yeah. And there were a couple here, like I know that they had the like red grain one. I even saw a leaves grain one. I mean, they had several of these. This was a great little collection, and the flankers came out as a second wave, like after or right before Candle Day. The one with like, I don't know, white pumpkin, and there was maybe a pumpkin pecan waffles, various other ones, like a mountain teak wood, or I don't know what. They were those flanker ones with the holographic shapes that came out with these wood grain ones, but it was a big mistake. They should have come out with the 4 wood grain ones right before Candle Day, which would have been this, and Marshmallow Fireside was in that beautiful champagne wood grain. You know, everybody goes for Marshmallow Fireside, and that was a stunning package for Marshmallow Fireside. And then it also had leaves, which was the neon green wood grain. And then there was the red one, which was like that body care one, and I can't remember quite the name of it. But those 4 would have been much more successful and represented a nice range. And man, this one was popular. I mean, if this had come back right before Candle Day, come on, right? Cozy Sunday Night, warm cinnamon, ginger, and vanilla bean. Not really any of those, but as I've said a million times over, Cozy Sunday Night is a gorgeous, deep, it's a basey candle. It's a deep pumpkin spice with graham notes, as in graham crackers, and cedar. And it is a phenomenal candle. And yes, there is something very standard about it. It's kind of all the standard fall quality. So in that sense, it's not like a completely innovative candle, but it is all the things that everybody wanted. And as Kent I think very accurately said, a superior candle to cuddle weather, which is similar to this one. So long may it live and long may it come out. I actually found it in these like mason jars too, because my Charlottesville store was moving. And so they brought out all kinds of random stuff from the back. And they had a couple Cozy Sunday Nights in these like tester candles. So I bought 2 of those before I got this one, because I didn't know if I was going to be able to get this one. Once I got this one, I gave the Cozy Sunday Nights Masons to my sisters because they really liked it. And I thought, oh, all I really need is this. I don't need the little ones. But at any rate, I really hope and I expect this one to come out next year. I can't imagine that it wasn't hugely successful for them. And then the very last nominated candle that I found, and this one was available at the outlet malls. At the outlet malls, you could get this, and there were pretty good stacks of them. None of the other ones in this particular packaging. So the pumpkin bonfire, and then there were all kinds of different ones, and I can't remember which ones exactly were in the, these were the only ones that were left, which makes my heart sink a little bit, because I think it indicates that these did not sell as well as they probably should have, given how remarkable a candle it is. But it is a very niche candle, and it does not have any body care references in it. It's just a very outdoorsy, mossy, damp candle, which is something that Bath & Body Works usually doesn't offer us, which made it very extraordinary, but given the leanings of their consumer demographic, I don't think that it was flying off the shelves. It wasn't like this one that just is going to have mass appeal, mass commercial appeal. This one did not, so I'm kind of worried about it and its fate going forward. Forest pine needles, woodland moss, and chilly fall air. Gosh, that's gorgeous. I will probably keep this forever. I will not even burn it. I will not burn it. Unless and until it comes back. If it comes back, then I'll probably think about burning it. But I'm just concerned it's not going to come back, and I just want it in my collection to like pop the lid and smell every now and then. Even that is glorious. And to remind myself of the genius of Bath & Body Works. You know? Like, they can do it. They just choose not to. Impressive. So, I'm very happy because look at those. I got all 3. And then, of course, I have pink lavender and espresso as well. But so for me, I mean, and I got them 50% off. So this one was the $24.95. So it was, only like, $12.50 or something like that. But these, I mean, the prices, I was paying $13 for both of them, $14, which is not a great price for a candle that you're buying at semi-annual sale. But I love them so much, I was like, I'll buy them for $13 or $14. And frankly, I probably would have bought them for more than that. So for me, it was a successful semi-annual. Would it have even been more successful if I had gotten the 75% off and maybe gotten even more backups? Yes, it would. But I'm not going to, I'm going to count my blessings that I did get them at whatever price point. The other little things, so at my store, there was I even saw one of the midnight cocktails at the really fancy, it was one of the Bath & Body Works that I encountered coming to Charlottesville. It was like one of those like Podunk, West Virginia. Like, I can't even remember what town it was. Becker maybe? Where they were, as mine is, a one store town, but it was a real big store, and they had a really, really good collection. It was in like a mall, and they had a midnight cocktails that was a 3-wick, which is, I didn't see any midnight cocktails at any of the other stores I went to. So that was kind of like a one-off. But my store did have this, of course, in the Mason, and when midnight cocktails came out, I was not interested in it. I was almost interested in it, but it just seemed a little generic and a little bit heavy to me, and I ended up passing on it. But Ken from Candle Channel recently said that when he burned this one, he grew in appreciation of it and ended up buying another one. So then I was like, well, maybe I missed something. So when this came out, they were clearancing these off. They were like $3.99. I thought, I'll try it in the Mason one, I'll put it back there under my warmer. It'll be like my bathroom kind of, scent here over the next like couple months. And I'll see, like maybe I missed something on Midnight Cocktails. So I'll definitely try it. I mean, it's all the things I like. The fragrance notes are rich cedarwood, spiced clove, dark tobacco. I mean, I'm into all of those things. That's right in my like range in terms of what I like in terms of fragrances. It just seemed a little bit men's cologne-y for me. Not heavy and not like terrible, but it was just a little more cologne-y than I wanted it to be. And the cologne dimension, I think, took some of the mystique or intrigue away from it for me. It just kind of went into a generic place and kind of a heavy one, which is why I passed on it. It just wasn't fresh and brilliant the way that I would love cedarwood, clove, and tobacco to come forward. And in that sense, I didn't think it was remarkable. That was my gamble, at least. But I'm going to try it. We'll see what happens when it gets burned up. And then I encountered one of these little ones too, Palo Santo and Sage. Palo Santo and Sage is on the floor right now in the 3-wick. And it may even be available in a couple different formats. This is a big surprise to me. Palo Santo and Sage is actually one of my favorite candles by Bath & Body Works. It is an extraordinary little fragrance because it has a great deal of austerity and herbal clarity to it. This is not a Bath & Body Works like body care personal fragrance kind of direction, which I love. I mean, it's a very like sparse, masculine, like kind of fragrance like Palo Santo, but actually their Palo Santo has a great deal of like musk in it, This one doesn't have musk, or it doesn't have a whole lot of it, It's just a really gorgeous candle of the variety that we don't see that many of from Bath & Body Works. This goes in the direction of like the Patty Wax Candle Company. Like it's a very rustic kind of candle. And it's phenomenal, but I can't imagine that many people love it who are the usual buyers from Bath & Body Works. And the strength and throw on it is not quite where it needs to be. Now, I haven't burned the new iteration of this year, so I can't speak to it, but the earlier iterations of this candle were kind of coming in the 5 range. And this candle needs to be up in the 7 range at least. I have stuck with it and I have continued buying it because I love the fragrance, because it's so in my wheelhouse, because like I just love it. And sometimes you just love a fragrance so much you're willing to put up with it. And also I thought very few people are going to buy this. I need to buy it in droves so that like, maybe they'll bring it back. It is odd to me and surprising to me that it has come back to the extent that it has. So for instance, I think the Palo Santo Vanilla, which actually far more popular than the Palo Santo and Sage. And there are a lot of like the vanilla people who love that Palo Santo Vanilla. I cannot imagine that given their consumer demographic, that one isn't a much bigger hit for them than Palo Santo and Sage. So I am a little surprised as to why they have brought out Palo Santo and Sage rather than Palo Santo and Vanilla. Don't get me wrong, I'm very happy because I don't like Palo Santo and Vanilla very much. I don't think it's very remarkable. This one is, and I love to see it being promoted, but I am worried about a little bit of backlash if it doesn't perform all that well and it's not really the consumer preference. You'd be like, why do we have this candle? Nobody likes it, Anyway, I bought one of these because I do tend to burn these in the bathroom, especially if I'm like taking a shower or taking a bath or something like that. And I just think Palo Santo and Sage is the perfect fragrance profile for that kind of spa-like atmosphere. So I said, yes, I will go ahead and get one of those for $3.99. The only other Bath & Body Works candle that I have, and this one I got from Easton from Columbus. And this one was one of their lone candles that was in their semi-annual sale, is vanilla and oud. Now, this one has not come out, I think, for popular. I don't think this one, I think this was a test candle. And Kent keeps talking about like an oud collection that may have made the rounds in the test candle stores last year at some point, and then reappeared in certain select test markets for semi-annual. I don't think this was a particularly successful test situation for them. And as with their mahogany teakwood stuff, mahogany this, mahogany that, given the fact that my scent profile and my scent preferences are strongly masculine and woody, I don't think that those candles and those mashups are good for them, because I generally don't love all their mahoganies at all. And if I don't love them, frankly, I'm not sure who would. Now, somebody was asking me on this channel about the mahogany coconut, and mahogany vanilla is quite good as well. Although I don't know if I've ever burned that in a 3-wick, but mahogany vanilla is quite good, I think. Mahogany coconut, I'm on the fence about. And it came out, I think, as a semi-annual push. It's one of the candles that's sitting around right now for semi-annual. And so if it goes to 75, I definitely want to try mahogany coconut. Mahogany vanilla seems quite good to me. Mahogany coconut, I'm not really sure. But then there's like that whole stretch of mahogany bullshit candles that are just not good. They're just not. I don't know what else to say. Now, I don't love mahogany teakwood either. Mahogany teakwood is kind of like, for Yankee Candle, it's Midsummer Night. Midsummer Night, that black candle that's like straight up men's cologne that has been around since like 1980. Midsummer will just never go away. That's how mahogany teakwood is. It's a very strong and heavy men's cologne. It's not even particularly interesting or exciting or bright or fresh, but it has a long-standing like tradition in the catalog, and it will never go away. So both Yankee's Midsummer and Bath and Body Works mahogany teakwood, same way. And they have a certain like cult following of people who love it. I suspect at this point, maybe for nostalgic and associative reasons rather than fragrance reasons. God bless. But all of these mashups of mahogany teakwood are just not successful, partly because I think mahogany teakwood isn't that great of a fragrance. We don't need more of mahogany teakwood, if you know what I mean. Oud, similar. So they've had several of these, because oud is actually like kind of a splashy, like it's an up and coming fragrance, kind of like Palo Santo for home fragrance over the last couple years. Everybody has an oud candle. Everyone has a Palo Santo candle. So it was smart of them to develop like an oud mashup kind of like line for the test candle. But as with their mashups of mahogany teakwood, they must not have a very good oud like fragrance. And it's just, nobody's in here for it. Their Palo Santo one is quite good. Their Palo Santo fragrance note is quite good. And all of the mashups they've done for Palo Santo have been extremely successful. A la Palo Santo Sage, Palo Santo Vanilla. They're probably kicking themselves for not having done Palo Santo and Pumpkin this year, as Homeworx did. So look for that next year. You will almost... I would put money on it. I would put good money on it that you're going to see Palo Santo and Pumpkin next year for the fall. Or this year for the fall. Like I said, good money. Good money. Who wouldn't? Like I said, when Homeworx came out with Palo Santo Pumpkin, I'm like, oh, Bath and Body Works, somebody's getting fired. Someone's getting fired. With the success they've had with their Palo Santo and the various different like mashups they've done, man. As it turned out, they did Cozy Sunday Night, which has a cedar like dimension, and it's basically a cedar and pumpkin kind of candle. it could use a little bit more wood probably for it to be called true cedar and pumpkin, but that was kind of their pumpkin spice and wood candle, but watch for it this year. Palo Santo and pumpkin. Anyway, close parentheses. These oud candles, oud, as with their mahogany teak wood, it's just, they really need to go back to the drawing board with their oud. So there were a couple other oud candles sitting on the table, and they were just really bad. I think I've smelled an oud in amber. Oh, fuck. That was just not good. That was not good. It was too heavy. It was very, I mean, the only thing that's missing there is bergamot. Bergamot, amber, and oud. I mean, it's just going to be a very heavy men's cologne and probably not a very, like, uplifting or exciting one. And that's exactly what happened. All of their oud candles have been, like, disgusting. Anyway, I'm burying the lead. This candle is everything. I have here vanilla and oud. And I'm usually not a vanilla girl. But frankly, it has with the vanilla and mahogany. The mahogany vanilla. Like this, the mahogany and the oud fragrance that they are going with right now is so off-putting. And so, frankly, it just needs a lot of work. It's not pleasant. You almost need the vanilla to like make it palatable. Yeah? So while I don't like vanilla and Palo Santo and vanilla, because I think it's more vanilla and it's not as good. The wood that they use for the oud and the mahogany, man, so bad. You need the vanilla. Man, this candle is great. Oh, yes. I don't know if it's hoard worthy for me, but it's definitely in the region of like Palo Santo and sage. So the notes on vanilla and wood are smoky vanilla, rich leather, and oud wood. And man, those could go really badly, and they are just all the best versions of what it is that they are there. I'm not getting a ton of smoke, so the smokiness is real subtle, but that's good because like when you have leather and oud wood, and especially the oud wood that they use, you use smoke on top of it, it could just go really to an overwhelming place really quickly. Gosh, this candle is good. And the vanilla is obviously not pride of place, but the vanilla is suffused throughout, making the entire thing palatable. And giving it like a sweetness that otherwise it just wouldn't have. So it's not a vanilla candle, and the vanilla lovers out there are probably not inclined to like this, or certainly not to the extent that they loved like the Palo Santo and vanilla. This is not a vanilla candle. The vanilla is there to really just soften up and make palatable the leather and the oud. And the oud is actually trumped a bit here by the leather. This is a very strong leather candle. And it's a beautiful leather candle. And the leather note is hard to get right. Bath & Body Works really gets it right here. It's a really nice suede leather note. Bath & Body Works does a lot of like suede candles, and they've even had some leather candles, and they haven't been all that successful. And they haven't been that discernible as leather as opposed to like patchouli or something else like that. This one is discernibly leather, not patchouli. It's relatively free from herbs, and while I love the herbs, and I love the vetivers, and I love the patchoulis, what is beautiful about this candle is it doesn't have any of those like similar like herbal notes like vetiver or patchouli. Or you're smelling it and you're like, well, it could be patchouli, but it could also be like leather. It could also be vetiver. You just can't, it is a true leather note. And because of the vanilla, it is just gorgeous. It's really gorgeous. Gosh, I wish this one came out, and I really hope that it does at some point. And I'm sorry you guys can't get your hands on it because I know there's a lot of you out there who would love this candle, and I really hope we see it. I will review it, and I will talk about it, and this is one that I would love to see this fall, along with Palo Santo and Pumpkin, which we're almost certainly going to get vanilla and oud high marks, and I'm really hoping that it like performs well. So that was actually the most exciting like little candle that I got from Semi-Annual, and I got it in Columbus, Ohio, which is a test market. So if you're in Atlanta, Georgia, you may have been able to pick one up. If you are one of the select few who is watching this video and you did get this candle from a test market and burned it, let me know what you think. All right, I'm sorry. I know this video has gone on ridiculously long. Now I've got some odds and ends here. So let's talk about this, which I got from Kroger. Look at this Tuscany candle. Secret Playplace. So I've talked about these. This is a new candle line from Tuscany. Do you see the lid there? It's got like these paw prints on it. They marketed these 14-ounce candles. It says made with a blend of essential oils and a powerful odor neutralizer, particularly for pet owners. And as a candle that they would be interested in burning. I don't know that there's anything particularly different about these candles than their other Tuscany candles. I think that they were just trying to market themselves for a previously unexplored candle demographic, which is people who have pets who otherwise don't know anything about candles. I think that's what these are, given that a couple of the candles in this line are unexpectedly good. So I actually bought and burned one that was a little bit more seasonal to the fall. It had apple and cinnamon and vanilla in it, and I thought it was really nice. Diminished a bit when it burned. When it burned, it kind of went more generic than I thought as it smelled, which actually is very like soy. It kind of transformed in a soy way. So when I burn soy candles, I'm often less pleased with the way that they burn than how they smell cold. That is exactly what happened to that particular Tuscany candle. And these are, what are these? Soy and petroleum and paraffin. So these are soy blends, but yeah. Must have had, for me, it went a soy direction. Anyway, that candle was pretty good until I burned it. This is the one that I've kind of always had my like eye on here. This is called Secret Playplace, and it is aloe water, lotus blossom, and bamboo. And it is beautiful botanical. It's a lot of green, it's a lot of dewy, it's a lot of vine. And yeah, there is a little bit of a synthetic nature underneath it, but it's really unexpectedly fresh and authentic for a Tuscany candle. And I was here for it. Green wax, which they don't even need because they've got the wraparound, you know. Green wax and double wick, and it's a soy blend. So I'm very happy because these candles they used to be like $12.99, I think, at Kroger or various other grocery stores. They are now $6. They're $6. And it says that they're going to stay at $6 because they discovered that nobody was buying them at $12.99. So for $6, at least until they're gone, like really something to think about picking up if you've got a grocery store. So I went ahead and got one of those, and I will probably burn it sometime here in the early spring. Yeah, it's a great like green candle for early spring. And then I also bought this I've got a couple like Marshall's Home Goods. So this is a Homeworx one, and I bought, what was the first one? It was like Lotus Blossom. I think Lotus Blossom was the first one that I discovered in this like green glass, which is really very stunning. And these are going for $12.99. Look at that, $12.99. That's a really good price for a beautiful vessel like this. These are 3 wicks. And they are 14 ounces. So approaching basically Bath & Body Works, only you're getting this stunning glass vessel for $12.99. The prices at Bath & Body Works, the way that they are, like that's a really, really good price. So I've made no secret of the fact that I'm buying a few more Homeworx candles than I usually would from Marshalls and TJ Maxx, primarily because of how stunning they are and what a good price they are. So this one is South Seas Gardenia, and it is similar to the one that I bought previously that was Lotus Blossom in this beautiful kind of like glassy green. The fragrance notes are Gardenia, Botanical Orchid, Garden Lily, Bergamot, and Spring Moss. And as with the Lotus Blossom, Just a really beautiful and authentic botanical. This one leans more white floral than the Lotus Blossom, which is a little bit more dewy and green. So between the two, I liked the Lotus Blossom a little bit better. Because while I'm okay with florals, I especially love the green vine and the green elements more than the actual floral dimension. So I was like, well, only buy one, Sarita. So I bought the Lotus Blossom, but then when I saw this at the store the other day, I'm like, aw, shucks, you know? And it was the only one left. I'm like, I'm doing it. South Seas Gardenia. It's a nice, Gardenia is an overwhelming, or can be a very overwhelming white floral, and there is gardenia in this for sure, and it is the dominant note, but because it's cut with all these other very similar notes, it's making it a very soft gardenia as opposed to an overwhelming one. I'm really happy. South Seas Gardenia and Lotus Blossom, I think, are fairly long-standing candles in the catalog. So if you have burned either one of them from Homeworx, let me know. Do you like them? Did they perform decently, etc.? The other one that I got from Marshall's is this one from Village Candle, and there are a lot of these going around at Marshall's right now, so if you're at all interested, definitely take a look. These are in the 100% paraffin though, so if you are not a paraffin kind of person, you might want to steer clear. I love paraffin, and so I'm happy enough to get one in paraffin. This is Grapefruit, Turmeric, Tonic, and the notes on it are sandalwood, turmeric, grapefruit, and amber, and I actually love those. So these notes are very similar to the candle from actually Aloe that I very much like, which is Paloma Petal, and it's like that grapefruit, sandalwood, amber kind of candle, but whereas that candle from Aloe leans more sandalwood and creamy than it does grapefruit, this one leans much more grapefruit than sandalwood and amber. So while on paper they look like they're very similar candles, they're actually not at all. And in fact, upon smelling it, most of what I'm getting is grapefruit. This is just straight up a grapefruit candle, and a very nice one, fairly authentic, and I do think it has maybe some creamy elements underneath it. It'll be interesting to see if or how those elements come out upon it being burned. I do love grapefruit though. And I've got a grapefruit candle from Homeworx that I'm going to be burning soon. So I thought, oh, why not? Let's do some compare and contrasts of some grapefruit candles. And they're great for like January and February. First of all, January and February are like, as well as December. The citrus fruits are in season all over the world. And many of us are thinking of citrus fruits not only because they're bright and they're cleansing for January period, but also because we've all got colds. And so we're doing a lot of citrus in that sense as well. So this is definitely a period to be burning some grapefruit candles. And this one is going to be one of them. If somehow there was a sale at Kringle that was good, and that there were several candles that I was interested in, I would love within the next month or so to pick up the grapefruit and rosemary candle that they have in the Country Candle line that came out last year. At this time, actually, it was there or a little after. Grapefruit and rosemary was one of their spring release candles in the Country line, although obviously 100% soy. I got it in a day late and I really liked it, and I would like to compare and contrast it with these two as well. So I'm kind of hoping a little bit that Kringle does something, even if it's just a sale in the next like month or so, that tempts me to like put a little cart together and I can get that grapefruit and rosemary, because I would really like to talk about it in the same breath. Last but not least, we actually have two that are probably the most exciting for all of you. Two brand new Yankee candles, and these Yankee candles I bought at Target, and it's because Philly Candleman, thank you Philly Candleman, he posted on his Instagram like a week ago. He was like, oh my gosh, these brand new candles for their like winter collection, which is a desert moment from Yankee Candle, they have dropped at Target stores, and they're offering them right now for $16.99, which is apparently almost half off of what the candles would like full price be offered at Yankee Candle. So I was like, oh, why not? I ran to Target. I was like, I want to smell them anyway. I had to take some returns back. And so I found them at an obscure end cap. And there were 4 of them that Target has. This one, which is Aloe and Agave. And then they have Desert Blooms. And then they have this one that's like, it's purple. And it's about like stargazing maybe. I almost got it, but it just seems like it's a very weak candle. And it had very bizarre chocolate overtones, although those are not listed on the jar. So I ended up passing on that one, especially at $16.99. I was already getting 2. They also have an horchata candle, but I don't know if Target got the horchata candles. But they did definitely get those other 3. So, and the horchata one wasn't even there to smell, but also seems a little gourmandy for my preferences. These 2 were great. So I was really happy to grab them, and I'm happy to give Yankee Candle another chance. I really am. I'm kind of interested to see what it is that they come out with this year, and especially as I'm kind of giving Kringle a little bit of a soft break, I'm really happy to kind of spend that money, that energy, in a different place. And if Yankee does some good things, hey, why not? Especially if they're easily accessible and you can smell them before. So this is Aloe and Agave. Do they have the notes on these? They don't have the notes, and I apologize for that, but once I burn them, I'll give you a full review. Beautiful colored wax, although I hate this like clip art bullshit. Oh my gosh, so tacky. I've had this conversation before. You will hear it again from me. So beyond tacky. I don't know what Yankee Candle is doing. I love the colored wax. The wax is great, but they really need to rethink their like situation here. 2 wicks, and this is their soy blend. So this is a soy paraffin blend, and they're definitely investing in this particular format. These are the best chance that you can get at Yankee Candle for a good strength, a good throw, a good performance. Gosh, Aloe and Agave is amazing. It does have that like kind of aquatic, fresh, clean aloe smell to it for sure. But what I love about this, and what really takes it into that special place for me, is that there is a peppery, herbal dimension to this candle. And I'm not sure what that peppery note is, but it's just, it's keeping it from being like a very generic, almost soapy kind of candle, and taking it into a much more intriguing, bright, fresh, even botanical place. And I love that. This one is fantastic. This is a candle that Bath & Body Works would kill for. There is something a touch soapy about it that kind of goes into that like, this could almost be a hand soap. This could almost be a shower gel, which Bath & Body Works would just eat up, yeah? But it's also beautiful and green and sparkling and botanical and authentic. And like I said, Bath & Body Works would kill for this. They would absolutely kill for this fragrance. Really happy to try that one out. And then this one I also got, which is Desert Blooms. Unexpectedly like it. I don't like it quite as much as this Aloe one, but it's very nice. This is very similar to Bath & Body Works Patchouli Rosewood. That candle that's actually, I think it may still be sitting out. They may have poured it for like semi-annual, because I've seen it in a couple stores. Patchouli Rosewood, I've never burned. It's one of those ones like Midnight Cocktails where I always smell it and I'm like, it's almost in my wheelhouse. Like, should I buy it? But it's just for me a touch heavy, a touch cologne-y and perfumey. I've never quite been able to get on board with the Patchouli Rosewood. This one is very similar. So if you like Patchouli Rosewood, I think you would like this. And I don't have them here to compare. I wish that I did. This one, if I recollect correctly, this one is a little bit brighter, a little bit lighter, and a little bit more just palatable across the board. And it doesn't have patchouli overtones per se, but it does have something that could be like vetiver-like or whatever else. And I don't have the notes on this one, but definitely think of it very much in the same genre as patchouli rosewood, and because it's a deep rose that is combined with like a funky herbal / woody kind of masculine kind of feel to it. But like I said, I think a little bit lighter and brighter and more authentic than patchouli rosewood from Bath and Body Works. But great too for like February too, where you might be looking for like a rose kind of fragrance. This might be one that you should pick up for sure, because right now I don't think we have. There's a rose and suede or something like that for Bath & Body Works. I think that's maybe one of the only rose candles that's on the floor for Bath & Body Works right now. And I don't know if that's great, but it would be at the same genre as this one. Tea Rose should have come back for Bath & Body Works. That was a great fragrance for them. They should bring back the Tea Rose. Their rose fragrances could use some updates for Bath & Body Works. But this is the time to bring them out. And frankly, they've only got a couple that are fairly successful. Tea Rose is one of them. So I really think that one should be on the floor. At any rate, this video was way longer than it should have been. I'm sorry. I just talked about a ton of things. So I hope that's your style. I will really, you're going to see dedicated reviews of these fairly soon, as well as probably vanilla and oud. And grapefruit. So some of these you're going to see, I think, but it was fun to get the best new candles too, which will probably just kind of go into my vault, but I wanted to mention them and remind you of them as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one.